of this physical work on the planet. They describes how they were clearing river channels, and we know those.
Wow, this guy is not as good as people say he is. So basically, he's saying that in the Atrahasis, it says that the Anunnaki and the Ajiji came here to mine for gold. However, he's saying that it doesn't say that. It says that they decided to create the Euphrates first, the Tigris. There's no benefit in doing that. Their planet's dying. They need to find out whether they've got gold here. And he's saying that they've done that. Now, they did actually create the Euphrates and Tigris. It does say that in the Oxford University website translations. But the Ajiji did not go to Enlil and demand some other way of, because of the toil or the hardship, because they're creating canals or rivers. No, they were over in bloody Abzu, creating gold mines to save the planet. I don't know why these researchers, I just give up.
We know Adam and Eve was on a spaceship for the first 24 years of their life. We have evidence, I mentioned this in a previous video, along with other amazing mysteries that have been solved. I offered the evidence. And do you know what? People are really, really stupid. There was about 1,000 people that wrote things like BS or rubbish or stitching the video and laughing. Of course I blocked all of them, but only 2 asked to see the evidence. I sent them links. They never came back. If someone made claims like that, I'd ask for the evidence. This shows me that people don't want to know, and in their heart they are scared of the evidence. If you want to see more about this, go to YouTube and search for our True History channel and look for the video called Proof Anunnaki Were Here. Proof They Were Gods. Our True History, Aliens, Nibiru, Space Heaven. Then come back with evidence to prove my evidence wrong. If you can't, next time don't comment until you have all the facts.
Jesus, there is another version of the Bible that you guys probably don't know about, which is the actual correct version of the Hebrew translations. So if you read the normal Bible, the man-made changed version, it will say God's created the heavens and the earth. However, Young's literal translation says, in the beginning, the gods prepared the heavens and earth. And if you actually read the pronunciations of that, they don't make other mistakes. So whoever translated this added the apostrophe because they didn't understand why there'd be many gods. And of course, the translations of the older texts are in the Columbia Museum, or Columbia University, should I say, and that has the Anunnaki preparing the heavens, which is space, and earth for them to have their settlement. Now, if you're interested in finding where this is, all you have to do is type in at the top there, Young's Literal Translation PDF, and that is the link right there. Who was Noah's father? Well, you'll find out this Sunday in the family tree. Tells you all about who he was and who his parents was. So keep watching. Massive family tree coming Sunday, unlike any. This person's asked, how can I prove the Anunnaki created humans? Technically it's not humans, it's Homo sapiens, but I'll let this person off. So in the Columbia University at the moment, there's 14 tablets, and in those 14 tablets it talks about a race called the Anunnaki. Well, it's actually the race is called gods, but we know them as the Anunnaki. They came from their planet to Earth, and they described the planets as they travelled here. In Babylonian cuneiform tablets, which predate the Bible, we didn't know about those other planets. It also talks about the asteroid belt. Also talks about finding a creature here on Earth, which would have been Neanderthal, and genetically modifying it. Literally genetically modifying it. It explains how they did it and everything. And then, of course, we've got the fused chromosomes to prove that someone done something. Of course, God didn't do that to any other hominids or monkeys, etc. So, yeah, literally it tells us that they did it.
People say that sun is yellow. No, it's not. It's white. If the sun were yellow, just think of...
This person thinks that the sun is white and it's only yellow because of our atmosphere. However, if you look at the pictures from NASA, the International Space Station, etc., that are not in our atmosphere, then it's still yellow. So either someone's putting a filter over it, or it does appear to be yellow. Please tell me your thoughts if I'm right or wrong, only because this guy is supposedly respected, and obviously if he's making rookie mistakes like that, then maybe I should be on TV.
7 planets are gods. They are not spinning balls in space. They are lights within the firmament.
Actually, they are planets, because the Anunnaki in the Babylon text that's in the Columbia University that predates the Bible explains that the Anunnaki named the planets after their forefathers' kings. So when they land on one of those kings and suck up water, etc., e.g. Lachmu, which was Mars, then they're definitely real planets. And in the same text, the firmament describes that's just outside the asteroid belt, and that's how they split the heavens up. So not all the planets are within the firmament, and there's two different types of firmament anyway, and firmament is just a divider, if you want to be precise. So I don't know why people follow those people. Just follow me. It's a lot easier. I won't lie to you guys. Breaking news, Atlantis has been found. Archaeologists have actually found Atlantis, and it's here, just above Egypt. It's a place called Heraclean that's sunken. It's a city. It's concentric circles. It's got Thoth's temple on it. It's got everything that you need. Proof. However, no. It was only me that worked all of this out. I just wanted to see whether you would believe scientists over me. And so on my pinned video, I show all the evidence that Heraclean is the actual sunken city of Atlantis. Now you're going to say, well, hang on a minute. How come he's right and mainstream's wrong? Yeah, mainstream do get things wrong. I'm just showing you a list here of some of the archaeologists that thought something and then ended up being totally different. In other words, they get it wrong. So why not just watch my pinned video that's on TikTok, the Atlantis one, and let me know your thoughts, because it's got everything that you need to have to prove that that was Atlantis by me. My previous video was about the sun being white or yellow. Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's white and it's our atmosphere that changes it to yellow. So I showed a picture from the Hubble space station, which doesn't have the atmosphere, and it still looks sort of yellow, maybe orange. And I asked for people's thoughts. However, this person and a few others sort of didn't quite catch that I was saying, hey, you know, give me your ideas, give me your thoughts. So they're saying I'm wrong. Obviously, I didn't say one way or another. I'm just saying, hey, look, Hubble is outside of our atmosphere. So obviously, I'm not wrong if I'm just asking for people's thoughts. But this person here is wrong because they're saying that the human eye emits blah, 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 frequency equals white. However, there's people here on Earth that can film stars miles away, you know, in the other galaxies that are white, and we can film and see our own sun with a telescope and it's still yellow. So regardless of human eye, it appears to be yellow, does it not? Most of you know that the Bible copied older texts, and some of you even know that the older texts were to do with the Anunnaki. In other words, the race name for the Anunnaki was gods. We're humans. And if you go to my Patreon page and then click on collections, I've done a free section where you can actually watch videos without having to subscribe or anything. It's only a couple of pounds anyway, but this is free. So you just go there, click on the first one under collections on the free section, and it's called The Lost Book of Our True History, which is a documentary I've done. And it proves that the Bible is talking about the Anunnaki. So enjoy that. It's on my Patreon page /Our True History.
You find out that Adapa was created to be even higher.
Why? Why, Billy? Why? Stop. Enough. Just stop now. So no, Adapa wasn't created. He was actually born from Enki and a female woman. In fact, two women had children who had Adam and Eve, which was Adapa and Titi, and they were called Dusk and Dawn, the two women. And so they weren't created to be smarter. They were smarter simply because the Anunnaki physically bred as opposed to genetically bred with humans, and therefore the first civilized, as it says in the Columbian University tablets, there's 14 of them. So when Billy says that they were created to be higher, no, they wasn't. Absolutely categorically not. I defy anyone to prove the ancient tablets wrong, unlike Billy, who just stop, Billy, stop. So I've been debating backwards and forwards, not really debating. I've been telling this person, you know, would you like to see evidence of such things? And this person's just coming back with stupid things. And now he's saying the Earth is too big for it to be broken off from another planet. Now Jupiter, you can actually fit 1,321 Earths inside Jupiter. So where you've wrote, bruh, use some logic, Earth's too big to be a fragment of another planet, 1,321 Earths can fit inside Jupiter. So if Jupiter smashed up, we could have 1,321 Earths. So I'm going to have to stop talking to you because you're obviously not on the same... Yeah, you're not even on the same planet. Sorry to knock you, but you just, you've been at me for hours, and unfortunately everything you said is wrong. Breaking news from just one day ago. It says here, undeciphered script from Easter Island may predate European colonisation. In other words, before the Rapa Nui people got there. Which is important because it means that the Rapa Nui probably didn't put the Maui statues there. And of course they didn't, because Our True History has already done a documentary on that from September last year. So if you just go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/OurTrueHistory, click on the collections, and then you'll get to this video that was done in September. It's 15 minutes long. And if you know anything about my documentaries, you know they're bloody good. So this one shows with evidence that the Rapa Nui people did not put the Maui statues there. And once again, yes, it's another one of those videos where I prove that other people couldn't. So enjoy. Interesting. So this person, I could tell, kind of had an issue with me. So basically, I've done a family tree on the Anunnaki, and it is the best ever, simply because I've already gone through the ones and proved the ones that's out there already are wrong. I've done that with evidence. So anyway, this person's obviously got an issue and has said, so out of 8 billion people, you're the only one that debunked everyone. And I had to actually reply to this person saying, no, you've got it mistaken. There's only a handful of people out of 8 billion that's read the ancient texts. And from those, there's only a smaller amount that's actually made family trees. And from that, I have debunked those family trees. So unfortunately, where this person's sort of trying to make it seem like I'm not very smart, unfortunately, this person's made themselves look a little bit silly. Breaking news on Vice.com. A prehistoric tool discovered may have just rewritten human history. Okay, everybody. Basically, what they're saying here is that the humans actually didn't need to go around hunter-gathering because they actually were a lot more smarter than modern scientists agree. However, we've been saying that for ages, because if you go to this is the Columbia University website, and they've got Sumerian cuneiform tablets in their museum and university. And these tablets literally predate the Bible and tell us that the humans that were created, which is the Homo sapiens, were 300,000 years ago, and they let them travel around to different places and taught them skills to obviously fend for themselves, because the last thing they want us slaves to do is die by dinosaurs or starvation. So yeah, follow me. It's a lot easier than listening to mainstream, who's so far. Breaking news from SciTech Daily. Rethinking human ancestry. New study challenges Homo naledi burial claims. Hang on, it's actually a bit more important than that. The breaking news part is, why the hell are you following these guys? Because they here literally talk about that Homo naledi possibly done these carvings when there's no evidence whatsoever that it was them. It could have been humans or Homo sapiens. And also a bit further down here, the research team concluded that the evidence presented was not compelling enough to support the deliberate burial of the dead by Homo. In other words, this whole article is baloney, and I won't lie to you. Now, Homo naledi was down here. The first Homo sapien that's ever been found was up here, but obviously we know the Anunnaki brought them down to South Africa. And some people actually believe the Abzu, South Africa, is there in Iraq. Just follow me, it's a lot easier than listening to rubbish. Did you know that Marduk, the Anunnaki, was Ra/Amun-Ra? You can find that out in my massive family tree that's just been done. And in fact, here's 2 comments. I've written it to hide their identities, because obviously it shows on my Patreon page, it shows their real faces, etc., because one of them's got a picture. Anyway, Unreal, thank you for this. And then I've only just put the family tree up today. Another one said, absolutely brilliant, it belongs in a museum, great work. So if you want to find out all about the Norse gods, the Egyptian gods, the Indian gods, and I will be updating this as well with the Greeks and the Roman gods, it is massive, as you can tell. So far everyone loves it, and it's literally only just come out today. So feel free to visit my Patreon page. It's only a couple of pounds. You get over 100 documentaries on top of that. that I've done long documentaries, 3-hour documentaries and stuff. So see you there. This person's talking about one of my posts where I said the Anunnaki were pale-skinned and the very first Homo sapiens were dark-skinned. However, this person seems to want the Anunnaki to be black, even though there's no evidence whatsoever of them being black. And I have asked many, many, many times before on posts, please show me evidence. Of course, no one can. So the problem is this person's actually just agreed with me by saying that the Anunnaki on their planet, which is 3,600 year orbit around our sun, in other words, it goes far out and comes back between Jupiter and Mars, as written in the ancient text, means the people on there, which would have been the Anunnaki, would have been lighter skinned because they're further away from the sun. So obviously that's why white people burn, because we're not supposed to be here. It wasn't until the Anunnaki bred with the Homo sapiens, the darker people, to have the white or olive-skinned people over in Mesopotamia and Middle East, which is exactly when and where white people suddenly appeared. Thank you for agreeing.
Atlantis, this pre-Diluvian civilization that was so advanced.
Always be the smartest in the room. This guy's talking about the Hall of Records that he says is between the pyramid and the Sphinx, and this was before the flood, according to this guy. And he's also saying that Atlantis was before the flood. However, if you watch my pinned video with evidence, you'll see that Atlantis was actually after the flood. And also, if you go by the 14 tablets in the Columbia University that actually say that the pyramids were built after the flood, so therefore the Hall of Records wouldn't have been put there because they didn't even go to that location. The only reason why the Anunnaki went to that location is it was only dry land after the flood, as stated in these tablets. So I don't know where this guy's got his information from. I would like to see the evidence, whereas I can show the evidence to this person. This is why people follow me, because I don't lie, I won't make up crap, and I can point you to the evidence. Are you ready for the only family tree to tell you who Jesus really was? Yes, it's here, it's coming this Sunday, and it shows you who Jesus's parents were, and they are not who you think.
Never repented of their violence. They never said that they were sorry for what they did to the Israelites.
Always be the smartest in the room. So this person's talking about fictional stories that may be in the Bible, and as such he's talking about a particular group that didn't say sorry, and therefore it didn't happen because he's not got any evidence of it. So the problem there is the logic says that just because you don't have text, ancient text saying that they said sorry, therefore you can't assume that they didn't say sorry verbally, or that the texts are buried. So you can't just go ahead and make up stuff. This person should have said, I assume they didn't say sorry. Because just because you've got absence of evidence doesn't mean you can make up something that may or may not have happened. And of course, if you're talking about the Bible saying that they did say it, who are you to say that they didn't? So unfortunately, logic wins, as always.
When you know, you know. Have you seen videos like this? Well, I just made this using AI, so it's fake. But if you want actual evidence that there is no dome, the Earth is not flat, and that all the videos you see of people telling you it is are wrong because they have mixed up what was said, then simply click on this profile picture and watch the pinned video called Flat Earth, Evidence Says Otherwise. I won't lie to you.
I was doing a live last night and I was explaining that we only have one soul, and that soul is not our own. It's an entity that joins with us. It's an orb. However, I did mention the only way we could have our own soul is if the previous person from reincarnation's soul went into us, and we don't have an entity join with us, but we have that soul, which is now our own soul. So we've only got one soul, but it was from the previous person. The problem with that is that if I don't have my own soul, because I'm getting the one from the previous person, and the previous person didn't have their own soul because they got it from the previous person, and so on and so on. Why did the very, very first person have their own soul? Why not me? Why did that one, all the people that's obviously now got souls, would have had to have one person right at the beginning to have one for it to be passed down? So my version that an entity, an orb, joins with us, it's not our own, still stands. Lord Shiva, don't worry about the extra arms. All that is just loads of different frames, in other words, loads of different photographs all stuck over each other. In other words, it's an animation. That's how they show the gods in different poses. But that's not actually what I'm talking about. Now, he was one of the Anunnakis, as we know, because the only people that were around that would have been had that technology would have been Anunnaki, to have flying crafts, Vimanas, etc., as it all mentions in their ancient texts. But the interesting part is there is a gold mine and uranium mine called, wait for it, Shiva. And it's actually up for auction. It's probably been sold by now, and it deals with gold. Now, what's interesting is, obviously, Shiva being one of the Anunnaki, Anunnakis needed gold, and that gold mine was in, yes, you guessed it, South Africa, which is exactly where the other gold mine were. And it doesn't actually give a date for the ancient gold mine of Shiva, so maybe it was one of the Anunnakis original. Breaking news, artifact found, ancient language found on a 2,100-year-old bronze hand, may be related to the Basque. So basically they found this artifact, which is actually a hand, and they're now saying that the inscription on it actually may make it connected to the Basque, which is weird because they say the Basque is the only surviving Vasconic language and they don't actually know where it come from. Now, if you know anything about the Anunnaki, you know that they had their own languages. So Sumerian and Basque are two of the only few languages that actually have no derivatives of their own language. So anyway, Iraq down here, which is where the Anunnaki were, that bred with humans that gave us the Rh negative blood. And if you walk all the way, yes, I know it's a bit of a walk, but if you go all the way to over here where the Basque people are, they have the highest percentage of Rh negative. So you can kind of guess now that people left Mesopotamia and ended up settling here. Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Want to know who they are? Well, here is the family tree that's connected. Oh, don't want to give too much away. It's coming this Sunday. So keep an eye out, follow me, and I will let you know as soon as the family tree is out. Breaking news. Living ecosystem below Earth's surface has hundreds of times more carbon mass than humans. In other words, they're now probably going to try and take away the middle of the earth because of carbon, like they're doing with cows. Mr. Gates wants cows to start eating seaweed, which will probably eventually bump them off. Why would, obviously he's trying to stop them from burping, but don't forget dinosaurs were bigger than cows and they lived here quite fine for years. But why would Bill want that? Well, let's have a look. Oh, there he is again, but this time he's saying he wants richer nations to eat his synthetic beef. So could he be using that as an excuse to bump off the cows so that you all end up eating his meat? But going back to the living planet, I actually did a video on my Patreon page called Earth is Alive, and I actually go through some evidence of scientists believing that Earth is actually alive. Hello everyone, I don't know if you're aware, I'm doing, by the time you watch this may actually already have been done, a family tree of the Anunnaki. And as you can see, it is absolutely massive because it's got everything you need in it. Now, I was looking through other people's family trees. So I've gone through every single family tree that I can find on Google Images. And no wonder why there are so many people that tell me I'm wrong when they have no clue because they've gone by these absolutely pathetic attempts at family trees compared to mine, which actually has the evidence. So let's just take some of these and have a quick look through them. So we have here Damkina over here on the left was actually the wife of Enki, which is correct. So this one's looking good so far. We've got Anu, etc. However, it's missing loads of things. So, for example, down here we've got Nergal. Now, Nergal was actually the son of Enki, as proven not only here in Zechariah Sitchin's book, Nergal, son of Enki, but also in other tablets as well. So we can rule this one out. So this one's very, very basic. In fact, so basic that it's not even worth going through because it's not got any of the other main players. Like Nergal is the one that actually hated Marduk in the end and went off with Ninurta in terms of trying to destroy Nergal's brother, Marduk. So Nergal's really important. So let's forget that one. It's pathetic. Here we've got a really bad one. So basically, it says here that Damkina is Ninharsag. I don't know if you can just about read that. They're not. They're two totally different people. Ninharsag was the son of King Anu, daughter of King Anu, sorry, and Damkina was the daughter of Allah or Alula. The various different names, as you'll see in my amazing family tree. So that one's pathetic. Then we've got this one here. Let's have a look. Oh no, Nergal, who is the son of Enki, is now, if you go this way, is now the son of Enlil. So that's another pathetic one. Sorry if I sound rude, it's just I get so many people say to me, oh, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And because they're going by these stupid things here. So let's have a look here. Again, very basic, doesn't add anything. Look, Nergal's way down here, which obviously is wrong again. Basically, people's copied other people's bad research. Let's be honest, this is exactly what's happened. So everyone's going to want to see mine. Now, I will be putting mine on my Patreon page, only because I've spent months and months making sure it's freaking airtight. And I will be adding, so it doesn't have the Roman, it has Norse and it has Indian, but it doesn't have Roman and Greek counterpart names on there yet. But it does have pictures up there of the different people, etc. So once I get to that part, I will update it. So let's have a look then. So this one here, I like to find King Anu, Enlil, and see whether or not they've got Enki. So they've got Ningas. I'm just trying to see where. So they've not got. I'm guessing that's Anu. Somehow they've added an extra one in there between Anu and. Yeah, somehow they've added an extra one in there. Don't know what. That's pathetic. Wow. I'm confused by this one. This one's really stupid. Look, Ajiji comes off of Enlil. What the hell? Ajiji come down. Ajiji, oh Jesus. Ajiji are the sons of gods. All of these are gods. That's their race name. Anunnaki's race name. Anunnaki is just a name, those that came from heaven to earth. In other words, a team name for those ones of those gods that came to earth. And this person's put down Ajiji comes off of Enlil. Frickin' no wonder why everyone's confused to hell. Let's have a look here. So we've got, this is a very basic one again. It's got Enki and Ninki, which is correct. With Marduk. Wow. They've skipped some serious bits here. They've gone straight down here to Gilgamesh. Yes, my family tree actually covers not only Gilgamesh, covers Jesus, covers Mary. The white ones are Homo sapiens, so you know which what. So yeah, mine's, again, without sounding big-headed. It's not big-headed, it's just doing the homework. I think we've looked at that one already. This one's ultra basic. Obviously, it's not even got anything off of Enki there, so it's no pointless. I think we've looked at that one as well. Yeah, that was the one where we ended up with Gilgamesh. I think we've already looked at this one as well. Like I said, there's only a handful really on Google Images that you can look at. And again, it's missing Nergal here, which should have been off of there. Sorry. Yeah. It's not there, so another one that's rubbish. This one's, again, I think we've looked at a similar one to this. It's got nothing in there that's relevant. And then we've got this one here, which is almost right, except it's completely wrong. I'm just being trying to be nice. Look, they've even got Hathor as down as Nimna. Wow. Okay, I've got that totally different. And Ptah is not Enki. Ptah is Enki. Sorry, I was just getting carried away there. But Thoth is not the son of Marduk. Thoth is Ningazida, who is the brother of Marduk and the brother of Nergal. and the brother of Gipper. Oh my god! So yeah, so everybody do look forward to my amazing thing. It's coming out very soon. I'll make sure everyone knows where it is, but it'll be on my Patreon page, and you can get to my Patreon page. All you have to do is click on these things, and it tells you all about who's with what. It's massive. So I'll put that up on my Patreon page very soon if it's not already there. And for a couple of £, I mean, you know, I'm the only one that can ever do this without sounding really rude. I am the only one that's researched enough for 40 years to be able to even come close to having it absolutely correct. So yeah, so forgive me for putting it on my Patreon page, but and I'm going to be doing a video explaining all the people with that as well. So if it's not already on there, go have a look, check out my Patreon page. You can get to my Patreon page from my website, which is ourtruehistory.co.uk. And once you're at ourtruehistory.co.uk, you can just scroll down to where it says Patreon, click Patreon, and you'll go through to the Patreon page. So thank you very much, guys, and I will catch you again very soon.
One of you all asked which planet is the oldest. We don't know for sure.
This gentleman is right. We don't know for sure. However, we actually know which ones are the newest. And these are in tablets in the Columbia University and in the British Museum. One's called the Evolutionary, the other one's under the Moorhan collection. And these are from the Anunnaki, which people don't seem to believe that they were here, but they actually name what planets were here previously, and then they explain that Tiamat, which was another big planet between Jupiter and Mars, got smashed into, which created the asteroid belt and created Earth. And remember, they named the planets, and so did the Greeks before we could even see all of the planets. If you want to see evidence of this, please visit my website, www.ourtruehistory.co.uk. On the homepage, scroll down to see where it says click here, and you'll get all the evidence you need about the Anunnaki and their planets and naming planets, etc. Everything you need. Breaking news. Chile's ancient mummies are thousands of years older than the Egyptians, and it goes on to say that they reckon it's about 7,000 years ago that these mummies were actually, their skin was taken off, their insides removed, and their skin was sewn back on, which is pretty impressive for 7,000 years ago. I couldn't do it to this day. But as you always know, don't trust mainstream. And I say that because when they're telling us these dates, such as 7,000 years ago, just look at this headlines, if I can get rid of this stupid thing here. Mummification in Egypt 1,000 years older than thought. In other words, they have no idea whatsoever whatever they're talking about, and they just keep pushing the dates back. So while people say pseudoscience and all this kind of baloney, pseudo-archaeology, you got to remember that mainstream don't actually know what they're talking about either. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, 1,000 years is a massive time for them to have got the dates wrong. So yeah, always follow me. It's a lot easier. You get the real information. Dragon skeleton found. This is a Chinese 240 million year old dragon skeleton found. However, is it really a dragon, or is it just a creature that's 240 million years old? And secondly, most importantly, that no one's ever talking about, the most logical thing is, who was around to have carved and drew these 240 million years ago? Humans came around 300,000 years ago, so we're talking millions and millions of years difference. So, in other words, did this kind of creature survive and people carved them to make dragons? Or did dinosaurs actually carry on living a lot longer than what we're told, which I have showed evidence that they lived up until about 2,000 years ago, dinosaurs. So chances are this is not actually a dragon because no one was around to even see it. This is more than likely a lizard type creature that's now been called a dragon simply because it's a bit of PR news. Can someone explain to this person that when you have water on a ball and you're inside the Earth's atmosphere already, then that water's going to go down to the ground, just like we're standing or sitting now, we're not floating. So in order for someone to actually do the test with the ball with water, you need to take that outside of the Earth, because obviously, you know, you're already doing the experiment within the experiments. That's stupid. So you need to take that ball outside. You then need to scale it up, because you have to do what they call a control. You have to scale that up to the size of Earth. Then you have to give it exactly the same environments, etc., as Earth in order to do the proper test. Once you've done all of that, you need to spin it, etc., to be able to say, aha, it shouldn't stick, but it does. So stop thinking in terms of where we are now, you need to scan it out properly, and that's why silly people, I just give up. I give up. Strange metal from beyond our world found in ancient treasure stash. Now, this is found in Alicante. Now, what that's interesting is this here is actually from meteorite. So you've got to ask yourself, did the ancients back then look out for meteorites and then go and dig it up? Or was it just a coincidence that they found meteorite and made it into something? Now, interestingly, the dagger of Tutankhamun is also a meteorite, not from this world. So the question remains, were these just by chance? I'll let you answer that. Or do you think there may have been some aliens involved using meteorites or using metals from another planet? Breaking news. Ancient diaries reveal the process of building the Great Pyramid, everybody. However, mainstream's lying as always. This is just the Diary of Menra, which basically covers blocks being moved. These are just saying how many blocks have been moved down the Nile. That was it. No, nothing whatsoever to do with the pyramid. No mention of the pyramid, no mention of anything other than moving blocks down. And it's just a diary, like a catalogue of how many blocks were moved. So mainstream's at it again. Now, the only place you can actually find information about the pyramids, the only place, is in the Moorhen collection in the Columbia University, and that's tablets that are owned by the Rothschilds, and those tablets explain that the pyramids were built by Ningazida, which was one of the Anunnaki, and why? Because it was a light power source going up into space, so the other Anunnaki can find. They didn't explain how. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Take your wet sponges and prepared to throw and dunk. So this person commented on one of my Norse mythology videos, which I was basically saying I found out stuff that no one else has found out, blah, 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 which you guys know I am good at that, and that video will be released next week. Anyway, this person said that the Norse gods were called Norse because they come from up north. So, unfortunately, that's different to my research. And so, do you really think that the first name that they come up with was North, to do with being North? Because at that point, they probably only knew their little island that they were on. They didn't have aeroplanes and boats when you first have a civilization that can start talking. So, do you really think they decided to call themselves North, which means they would have had to have compasses and everything else? No. One of my followers suggested I look up Michael Feely. So I've done that, but I did say to the person, please don't make me go and watch it, because if I find something wrong, I'll probably end up doing a video, because obviously I only want the evidence out there, not, stuff that people make up. So here is Michael Feely explaining orbs.
You have what is known as new spheres, which are basically the intellect of the mind. It is a sphere of human thought, and of course...
So he's basically saying the spheres, the orbs, are from humans. Bear in mind, clairvoyants say that animals also have spirits. And also the other problem with this is University of Virginia have proven that reincarnation is real. So if you only have your own, then how does the next person that gets yours have their own, if then you end up with two? And of course, when that person dies, you end up with three, and before you know it, you've got a billion. So unfortunately, I don't agree with this. Watch my videos if you want. Perfect example of how a religious person has no idea whatsoever about their own beliefs. So this person was saying that they don't trust a TikToker like me with 40 years of research compared to hundreds of years of the church. And I said, well, unfortunately, the church has manipulated the actual text that you read. So I pointed out that in Genesis 1, it says, God created heavens and earth. And then I pointed out that in the Young's literal translation, which is the actual direct copy off of Hebrew, not changed, it says God's prepared heaven and earth, not created. And it was plural. So this person then wrote, once again, why would I trust modern translation? Unfortunately, this person didn't realise that the Young's literal translation is direct off of Hebrew, and the version that he reads is the modern version. So unfortunately, when I wrote I win, it's because you can't beat me, because I go by evidence. Sorry. Do you know Norse mythology? Well, you're probably thinking the frost giant is something like this. Hold on. This weekend I am releasing a video that shows with evidence that the frost giant is nothing like this. In fact, it's going to be the world's first. So if you're interested in being one of those few people that actually know stuff that no one else knows with evidence, I will let you know when the video is released. So look forward to it. The Archons. So in my live last night, someone said to me, what do I think of the Archons? And I said, baloney. After 40 years of research, it's just a made-up thing. Anyway, this person then said, but the Archons are in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And I had to think, because obviously, 40 years of research, I went through my brain and I said, I don't think that's actually in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. But even if it is, it's still baloney. Anyway, I've just gone through the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and as you see here, Archon 0. I've just whizzed through it as well. Can't see it. So to the person that asked me about the Archons, I still rightfully claim baloney. Anunnaki family tree. And this one's not mine, and the reason why it's not mine is because it's wrong, and this one's on the internet. So you've got an Inharsag, who's also known as Nimna and other names. Now, I'm putting all the names in my family tree that I'll let you know when it's finished. I'm still working on it even today. But Enki's wife is called Damkina or Ninki. And there is no Ninki here, so it's pathetic. And here also another one, different online. I'm just showing you because obviously this is why people get so many things wrong. Enki here is, look, they've put all the names for this particular person, but they've put Damkina and they've put Ninharsag. Two different people, but they've put it as the same person. This is why my amazing family tree here is absolutely going to be amazing. So just keep watching, guys. You're finally going to get the proper answers from an expert. Norse gods. Is there any connection with the Anunnaki gods? So I've been doing a lot of research recently, and I've actually worked out something that no one else, no other Norse expert has worked out. Now, it's not because they're not experts. It's because I know a lot about Sumerian and Anunnaki, so that when I research the Norse gods, I can actually conclude stuff that other people that may only just deal with the Norse gods wouldn't understand, and therefore it changes the whole paradigm of the Norse mythology. And so I'm very excited to tell you that I am working on that at the moment. And let's just say the frost giant isn't what you think it is. And I come up with evidence as well to back my claims up, as always. So keep an eye out, because this video is going to be another one of those groundbreaking ones like I've done with who Yahweh was, who the father of Jesus is, etc. This is going to be another brilliant one.
Want to be the only person in modern history to actually know what the Norse gods were talking about in their creation story? I can show you with evidence. Yes, another world's first from our true history. Find out what the frost giant really was. Simply visit patreon.com/ourtruehistory. There's over 100 long documentaries on a wide range of subjects, all answering questions with evidence never before known in the modern era. Stonehenge, solved, who Yahweh really was solved, evidence the gods in the Bible were the Anunnaki, solved, and so much more. New content added every week. Click on the Collections tab to find videos easier. If you want to see if I know what I'm talking about, just watch my TikTok videos first. Enjoy!
Funny story, on another post, this guy said to someone else, I don't listen to this British guy, he knows nothing. Unfortunately, if you don't listen to me or watch my videos, how do you know that I know nothing? So that was just a silly move. But then he's basically gone on to say, the thing is, I have a question, who are you, blah, blah, blah. Do you really do that kind of research? Well, first of all, if you watch my videos, you'd know. I don't need to justify myself now. I think I've got to the point when I'm the only person that's worked out who Yahweh really was, who El was, who Asherah was, with evidence, who Jesus' father was, why Stonehenge was put exactly where it was, blah, blah, blah. All with evidence. And I've been on hour-long radio stations, interviewed, etc., about this kind of subject. So just because you don't know me doesn't mean my research isn't any good. The simplest answer is just watch the videos and you'll see. Breaking news, mysterious stone circle built before the Great Pyramids. And this is what it says in the Newsweek. Now, basically, if you watch any of my videos, you realise that mainstream lied the hell out of given dates. and they're basically saying this was built about 100 years before the Great Pyramid. Now, if you look at the cartouche, which that's it, that's what's been dated to give the Great Pyramid the date that it was for Khufu. However, turns out it's fake. We know it's fake. We knew it was fake a long time ago. So all you have to do is just type in cartouche fake Great Pyramid, and you'll see that it was actually done by Howard Weiss to help him secure further funding. So basically, do not believe the dates of mainstream because they basically lie to us. Sorry. I'm going to love this story. So this guy was arrested for driving, and in front of the magistrates when he was taken, the first thing he said in a different camp voice, he said, "Do you accept identity change?" to the judges, and the judges all looked at each other, and of course they're frightened, so of course they said, "Yes, we accept identity change, no problem at all." And then he's turned around in his normal voice and said, "Well, I identify as a diplomatic immunity person." And the judges goes, and he got let off. So also, to you guys out there, I identify as your son. Please send money. I'm broke. Thank you. Just following on from my previous video about this stone circle that's been found, so I'll just read out what the mainstream say. The monument is located in North Peru's, I'll let you pronounce the spellings of those, archaeological site which lies around 10,000 feet above sea level near the summit of a peak in the Andes. So just have a think for a second. Oh, we're right up the very top of a mountain. Let's build a circle for no reason whatsoever, and it's not a calendar. So if you want to actually know that it's not a monument, and you actually want to know what it really was for, because you can't have all these stone circles around the world, Adam's calendar, etc., and the Karnak stones in France. There's thousands of these sort of type of stone circles, and they're not all calendars. So if you actually want to know what they're for, I have done a video here which is called Stonehenge More Than Meets the Eye, It's Solved. That's on my Patreon page. Or you can go and look up Michael Tellinger's work on the stone circles, and you'll see they are power distribution plants.
We have no evidence of alien civilizations at all. That might mean we haven't looked hard enough.
That's not actually true. We do have tablets in the Columbia University that explains that the Anunnaki came from another planet and their race name was gods. The tablets also talk about them creating a species which is Homo sapien about 300,000 years ago over in South Africa. And we've actually got the physical proof that they did that because we have fused chromosomes that could only be done in a laboratory setting. Then we have the Greek gods, which were the same Anunnaki gods, giving us all the names of the planets for their gods. And of course, we could only see a handful of planets back then, but yet they knew all the names of the planets. So there's also the modern aliens with the implants that people have found, the missing time, the radiation burns, the scoop marks, not to mention all the eyewitnesses that have seen aliens and UFOs. Sadly, this person who actually admits doesn't watch my videos thinks that I'm misleading people, even though they don't really know what I'm talking about because they don't actually watch my videos. What a world, eh? So basically, this person's saying that there's no way the word gods could be in any older text. Now, here behind the his text is the word gods. I don't know if you can see that in God. And this is from the translation of ancient Sumerian tablets that predate the Bible. So unfortunately, yes, I'm afraid you're wrong. And I'm not misleading people. This is what's in the translations, and there's thousands of them, because the race name for the Anunnakis were called gods, and we're humans. So look, the great Anunnaki gods there, look, that's for the Anunnaki. That's a shortened version of it. Gods, they're everywhere. So I kind of am right. Sorry.
It appears that there was a galactic war millions of years ago in the Pleiadian star system. Planets were being destroyed.
The problem is we don't actually have any evidence of what Billy's saying. Now, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I give evidence where I can, even if it was a whistleblower. So Billy doesn't have to do a video like I do and show the evidence like I do. All he has to do is just say, it's from a tablet that's in the British Museum or in Columbia University, somewhere. But what he doesn't do is tell us anything whatsoever other than giving us stuff that people then believe. So obviously I've not come across anything that he's saying there regarding that. He even carries on in the same video saying that the Anunnaki had weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, that's what he says. However, if Billy actually read the text, you'll find it's actually weapons of terror, not weapons of mass destruction. So unfortunately, he's got that wrong as well. So maybe just, Billy, just give us the evidence instead of just telling us stuff, because I don't think you have evidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, you will get to see our true history. We know there were gods in the past. We know the Anunnaki's race name was gods. But what we don't know is who those gods were in other countries. There are Anunnaki family trees online, but every single one of them has been proven to be inaccurate. Now, finally, a family tree that is made by the only person with enough knowledge to actually make it correct will be releasing the family tree in a video backing up the claims this weekend, Sunday, the 3rd of March. The family tree and video will be on the Patreon page, Our True History. It costs just a few pounds and has over 100 long documentaries already, and more content is released every week. Why wait till Sunday? Join patreon.com, Our True History, and learn things you never thought we would find answers for.
Wait, do you think you know Norse mythology? Well, do you know who Vanir is? It's not who you think it is, trust me. I'll be showing the evidence very soon. Now, I'm the guy that done the video, Jesus Real Father Named. However, I'm that good that although this is on YouTube, when you actually type in just even my name here, Our True History, on Google, you won't find me. And also, if you actually even copy in the actual description of the video, it says none found. However, I tried the same thing with Billy Carson's video with also the word Jesus in it. And guess what? His shows up right at the top. So, I am that good that I'm going to be telling you all about the Norse gods very soon. And they're not who you think they are. And they are slightly connected with the Anunnaki, which are the race of gods. That's their race name that came here, and genetic modified us. So keep watching, follow and subscribe, etc. Here's an interesting article. Who was the earliest humans in Europe? Now, they've recently found a cave, and they've said that there's a Homo georgical, you pronounce that better than me. But what's interesting is they're saying that they originally thought that the first Homo sapiens, etc., arrived in Europe a certain time ago. However, previous suggested dates for the earliest tools that were maxed out at about 950,000 years ago. New analysis dates them to be at 1.42 million years ago, meaning they've got it wrong by over 500,000 years, which is quite a long time. I won't be around in 500,000 years. So my point is, when they start saying about when Homo sapiens and humans, etc., all moved around, they're just going by A, wrong dates, and B, by the earliest skeleton that they found. Doesn't mean it's the oldest. If anyone's interested, I've done a family tree on the planets as they were back in ancient times. I will be adding Norse names to them, etc., and Roman names. So it's one of these family trees that I've put, just similar to the one that I've put on my Patreon page. I'll be putting this one on the Patreon page tomorrow. But the one that's already on the Patreon page is the Anunnaki family tree. That's been hailed as the best family tree ever in the whole planet of Earth. It's that good. But that's already on my Patreon page. But this new one, I'm not zooming in because I don't want to spoil it for you, but that will be added also to my Patreon page. And like I say, it will be added to, so I continuously update it. So look out for that tomorrow. There'll also be a video accompanying it to explain what's what and why is the things that are there. I don't want to spoil who was there before Tiamat. So look forward to that. Wow, new study says Indians exhibit most diverse Neanderthal ancestry globally. So you can go and read this, and it's basically saying how much percentage, etc., that they have of Neanderthal. But the most important part here is if you have that higher percentage, it says you have increased risk of severe symptoms after you know what. And I don't know about you, but I think this is their way of trying to get people in India to, you know what, take the you know what when it comes back round again. And trust me, it will come back round again. But I don't know what, see, there's no reason for them to have that article, because we know that the Anunnaki took a Neanderthal and then put the final product, which was a Homo sapien, in South Africa to mine for gold. We've got all the evidence we ever need for that. But we also know that Neanderthals did travel and they did go to India. and Egypt, etc. So Neanderthals were around, so there's no real reason to have this other than to push their agenda, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, you will get to see our true history. We know there were gods in the past. We know the Anunnaki's race name was gods. But what we don't know is who those gods were in other countries. There are Anunnaki family trees online, but every single one of them has been proven to be inaccurate. Now, finally, a family tree that is made by the only person with enough knowledge to actually make it correct will be releasing the family tree in a video backing up the claims this weekend, Sunday, the 3rd of March. The family tree and video will be on the Patreon page, Our True History. It costs just a few pounds and has over 100 long documentaries already, and more content is released every week. Why wait till Sunday? Join patreon.com, Our True History, and learn things you never thought we would find answers for.
Neanderthal and humans lived together 10,000 years ago in a cave, it says here in a new study. However, don't trust mainstream because it says here that modern humans have about 0 or close to 0% of DNA of Neanderthal. However, you go down to Smithsonian and they say we have about 6 to 9%. However, you keep going a bit further down and Smithsonian then also says we have about 4%. So the reason why they're getting mixed up is because Neanderthal was the species that the Anunnaki aliens genetically modified to create the first Homo sapien. And then the Anunnaki bred with the Homo sapiens to create Homo sapiens sapiens. In between all of that time, people were still breeding with Neanderthals, they were breeding with Denivisms, Homo erectus, Florensis, etc., etc. And all of them were all interbreeding with each other, which is why we've all got different skin colours, etc., etc. So, in other words, either follow me or listen to mainstream, and they lie. Unbelievable, we now know who the actual Norse gods were, Odin, Thor, etc., and whether or not they are Anunnaki. I've already done a video on my Patreon page called Norse Gods Part 1 Creation, where I prove with evidence, as always, what the frost giant is, etc., on their creation. And this coming weekend there is going to be another video, part 2, which is about the humans and how humans were created by the Norse gods. This is unlike, you never see this anywhere else. No one else has done this, as usual, same as all my other videos. And so you will find out who Thor, Odin, etc. are, and it's not who you think they are in Sumerian. Most people seem to think that Odin is, or Marduk, or this is Marduk, Thor, and so on and so on, and Enlil's this and Enlil's that. No. Wait for the video to come out. So it's on my Patreon page, patreon.com/. You dare tell me my knowledge is worse than mainstream scientists? So here in New Scientist, it says that genomes of modern Indian people include a wide range of Neanderthal DNA. However, if you go to medicineplus.gov, it says here the percentage of Neanderthal in modern humans is 0 or close to 0. However, if you scroll down a bit further, you'll see in the Smithsonian that it says that we actually have about 6 to 9%. However, if you scroll a bit further, you see that also Smithsonian again says that we've got about 4%. So in other words, they don't know what they're talking about. So this goes back to my beginning comment where I say, do not tell me that my knowledge is worse than mainstream science, because they lie. So it's a lot easier if you guys follow me. I won't lie to you. All my videos have evidence and facts, whereas clearly they have no idea what they're talking about in science.
Nor Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12 are references to Satan.
He said neither the serpent in Garden of Eden or Lucifer are Satan. I've been saying this forever, but because I talk about aliens, no one listens to me. I hope you listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. Alien planet Nibiru, Planet X, is real. It came into our solar system 4.5 billion years ago, smashed into a planet here between Jupiter and Mars, and that planet called Tiamat got broken up and became our asteroid belt, which is all written in these ancient texts here in the British Museum called Enuma Elish, which literally tells us that another planet comes into our solar system, smashes in. So it tells us everything we need to know, and eventually part of Tiamat became Earth, which is what we've got now. And our moon is called Kingu, which was also written about in the tablets, which was the actual moon of Tiamat, which was the planet that got destroyed. So either listen to mainstream, who says there's no such thing as planet Nibiru, or listen to the actual tablets that predate the Bible, that there's no way they would have known about telling a story about asteroid belts before we even knew. Great news, everyone. The family tree for the Anunnaki. Now, this is a proper family tree, not like these other ones. Let's have a look here. For example, whoever done this has Marduk's brother. Marduk was Ra. Marduk's brother being born to Marduk. Yeah, they obviously don't know what they're doing. But my one, we do. So you can zoom in and see all of this kind of stuff. And all the names are there from different places that they are. So it's absolutely amazing. And not only that, it goes all the way down to Gilgamesh and Noah even. So you all know who did what with who and everything. Like I say, you can zoom in. Whoops, don't want to spoil stuff there for you guys. So yeah, once it's done, I will let you know. And obviously all these other kind of ones will pale in comparison, simply because I'm putting every name that's been used by these Anunnaki for different. Do you want evidence that the Earth was supersized, got smashed into, and became Earth? So the original planet was called Tiamat, and we've got evidence of that from this tablet here, which is in the British Museum. It's called the Evolutionary. It basically tells us that a planet got smashed into and caused the asteroid belt. Now, there's no way they would have known this thousands of years ago because they didn't have telescopes, so no one would have known about the asteroid belt unless you was an alien race, which is where the tablets come from, the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki say that about 4.5 billion years ago, that's when it all happened. However, mainstream's saying that asteroid belt was around 4.6 billion years ago. So it's pretty much saying exactly the same thing. Now, does mainstream actually agree that there was another planet that smashed into Tiamat? Yes, they do, but they call it Thea. Slammed into Earth. Now, what they don't actually realise is Earth was the planet that got smashed into, called Tiamat. So they still agree that there was a planet smashed 4.5 billion years ago. Sadly, this religious person has, yes, yet another one, has said a few things. I've proved them wrong and now they get upset. So I'd like to ask this person, can you show me a couple of things? First, there is interdimensions. In other words, show me more than this dimension that we're in right now. Once you realise you can't, feel free to say sorry. Then also, if you can describe a demon. So, you know, for example, you can describe a monster. No, hang on, you can't describe a monster. A monster's just something scary. So when you try and describe a demon, you'll realise that the demon is just something that's evil. The original word actually for demon is meteorite, but you won't know that because you've obviously gone to the part of calling me a dummy. Oh dear, I win. Sorry. This person seems to have got a little bit confused on the word Anunnaki compared to gods. So obviously this person's probably not watched my 1,000+ videos. So just to let this person know that the word Elohim is the Hebrew word based off of the word gods, which is the race name for the Anunnaki. The word Anunnaki is just a name given to those ones that came to Earth. They don't all have that name on their home planet, only those ones that came to Earth. And of course, that's not their race name because it's just a team name that was given to those ones that came to Earth. The actual race name for them is gods, just like we're humans. And of course, then the Hebrew copied gods and used their own language, which was Elohim. Hopefully that clears it all up for you. Too many sad people don't even know that the word firmament was actually only written about in ancient texts, not the Bible. The Bible copied those ancient texts, and of course those people that never look up what the word firmament means don't actually know anything about the firmament. So I'm going to give you the evidence today, and this ends that baloney about the firmament being this dome around Earth, which no one's seen except for about 13 people back in ancient times in Mesopotamia. So what we're listening to here is the transcripts or translations of tablets in the Columbia University from the ancient Babylonian texts that was transcribed by humans on behalf of the Anunnaki. And it's talking about Nibiru coming in, smashing, or the full moons of Nibiru originally coming in, smashing a planet called Tiamat that was between Jupiter and Mars. Then Nibiru went back round and finally broke Tiamat into these here, which is the asteroid belt, and part of it you'll see was actually Earth. Now you're going to listen to it all, evidence. Here we go. Enjoy.
Nibiru fired a lightning bolt at North Wind. He transmitted a message, and Tiamat's head was taken away in a blaze of light to an unknown location. Kingu was also sent away with her, and the portion that had been severed was to be his friend.
Kingu was the moon,
Nibiru
our
then
moon.
considered what would happen to the back part. He wanted it to be a combat trophy that would survive eternally. The battleground to be enshrined serves as a permanent reminder. He used his mace to sever the horse's back. They then strung them all together to form a hammered bracelet. He secured them as watchmen by locking them together. A firmament to keep the waters separate from the waters. Nibiru has created beautiful works of art by separating the upper waters above the firmament from the lower waters.
So there you go. Basically what it's saying is the huge planet that ended up being part of, well, Earth being part of, had water on it. It was actually a water planet, if you actually want to do your research. Wait for my Norse mythology video to come out for all the evidence in that. But it also says it in these Sumerian tablets. So there you have it. There is no dome over Earth. It's talking about here, the whole thing, because I hadn't even come to Earth yet. So no more firmament baloney, please.
This is a world's first for modern times. You will find out whether or not Norse gods were the Anunnaki. And no one else has ever come across this information with evidence, as I always do. So this documentary is going to be released very, very soon. And if you don't believe that I can actually do what I'm claiming, go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to the big blue letters saying click here, and you'll see a 34-minute documentary. It's hours long, but I've put 34 minutes here. The rest of it's on my Patreon page. Proving that the Bible was talking about the Anunnaki. So once you've watched that, then you're going to probably want, I hope, to watch the new Norse gods video. I've already done part 1, which proves what the frost giant was, which no one's ever worked out either. And I'm going through the whole Norse mythology and connecting it where it is connected to the Anunnaki. So find out which gods were which.
I'm going to tell you the exact truth why God allowed the flood to happen. So we know the Anunnaki were gods. That was their race name. Watch the end of the video for more evidence on that. So the Anunnaki had a thing that they called fate or destiny. And basically, if humans wasn't here, if they didn't create humans, then the flood would have still happened because it was to do with Nibiru coming back round and being fairly close to Earth, in which case it caused the ice shelf in the Antarctic to slide off and cause a tsunami, as it says in these ancient tablets. And as you see here, these are translations of ancient tablets where the Anunnaki always looked at fate, and unfortunately, Enki creating us changed the fate of Earth, so they allowed the flood to happen. So evidence that the Anunnaki were, go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here in big blue, and that's your evidence that the gods were the Anunnaki in the Bible.
I am the best researcher. TikTok blocks me on my lives. As you see here, it pretends that there's robots listening in, so they limit the amount of people. But no, I'm that good.
This is really important. It's about Adam and Eve. So this guy here works at Penn Museum, and he's done a lecture, and I've listened to the whole lecture. I'm just going to play a bit for you, and so you'll see it's so important.
But I would like to connect it now with the flood story, because I think that we can start to see some interesting things.
So basically he's saying that Adapa, which was Adam, out of Adam and Eve, was possibly Noah or Zudra. So let's have a look. Now, straight away, obviously I knew he was wrong. Yes, I know, it sounds big-headed, but listen to this. This is a tablets in the Columbia University translations about Adapa being born.
My act must remain a secret, he informed his vizier Isimud Enki. The newborns were breastfed and raised by their mothers until Isimud took them to Enki's home in Eridu.
So that actually corresponds with my Patreon video where Adam and Eve were on a spaceship for 24 years with evidence and then taken down because they were cast out of the garden, which was on a spaceship, cast down and sent to Enki's own palace, which is in Eridu. Exactly what I've said in my video. So once again, I'm right. So keep listening to this part.
Ninki took an interest in the orphans and raised them like his own children. I spotted them in reed baskets amid the bulrushes. Everyone agrees that Isimud performed similarly.
So basically they're saying that they faked the births. In other words, they pretended that no one knew where these babies come from. If you listen to the previous part of this, no one knew where the babies come from, so they deliberately put them in a reed basket so that no one knew that Enki had his wicked way with human women for the first time. So now let's listen. So we know there that we don't have a mother as such. We know that there were two human women, but this one here is to do with Noah and his real mother, because we know it's a story that comes way later on.
His complexion was as white as snow, and his hair was the colour of wool. His eyes were as brilliant as the sky and shone with radiance.
Blue eyes, white hair, you guessed it. It's Noah, and his real father was Enki, because he had his wicked way with Lamash's wife. Carry on listening.
Lumark was shocked and afraid, and rushed to his father, Matushal. Matushal travelled to Bartanash with the infant, whose resemblance astonished him. Bartanash was given a kid unlike any other. I am mystified by this occurrence. Is one of the Igigis the father of the child? Bartanash...
So the point is, two totally different stories, and you've got a guy here from the Penn Museum actually saying that he thinks there's a possibility that both Adapa and Noah are the same person, which clearly they're not. Absolutely, clearly, 100% they're not. So, I mean, yeah. So basically, feel free to follow me. I won't lie to you, and I won't make up stuff, and I won't get things wrong that badly. So you can go and listen to this actual Penn Museum. Just remember, though, this is his thoughts at the end. So the rest of it is very good. So it's worth listening to. Great myths and legends, Adapa the sage, flood, myth and magic in early Mesopotamia. I could go through a whole video of this actually showing various points that he's referring to, but you get the idea. That's why our true history is very good. You know your Norse mythology? Think again. I've actually worked out the creation story. I've worked out the Gunundagap. I've worked out who the Norse gods were, connecting them to the Anunnaki. So if you don't believe that I can actually do all of that, just go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. I'm the one that's worked out who Jesus' father was. I've the one worked out why Stonehenge is exactly where it is. I'm the one that worked out who Yahweh is, what Göbekli Tepe was for, where Atlantis is properly with evidence. No one's refuted any of these. So, yeah, so basically just hold on. Maybe subscribe, follow, whatever, and next week you will get the video showing everything you need to know about Norse mythology from a perspective that you've never ever thought that was be possible. And yes, I'm also the guy that created the family tree, which shows Norse mythology connected to the Anunnaki, etc. So Gedang Patang in Indonesia. I find this interesting because here is an article saying, is it the oldest pyramid in the world, which is basically hidden underneath. People seem to think there's a pyramid there. However, what's interesting, if you read the tablets in the Columbia University, it talks about after the flood, the Anunnaki wives ended up getting locations given to them, and one was actually on the top of a mountain, yes, and they called it a stepped terraced location. That's in the tablets. And funny enough, here I'm trying to find it. There it is, stone terraces. So, and they were talking about faraway lands as well. So this was probably one of the locations that the Anunnaki wives went to, while their men went out and did whatever they were doing, and the women would be in charge of this location here, which makes a lot of sense because they weren't always staying in Mesopotamia. Our alien ancestors family tree, Anunnaki, is now finally done. Here is a video that actually backs it up as well, and here is the link to the family tree. Unfortunately, it's on my Patreon page, which only costs a couple of pounds. You get over 100 documentaries and content added every week, but it's well worth seeing that. And the reason why my family tree is better than all of these is, A, I've already done videos showing where these family trees are absolutely wrong, And mine also goes into different people in, oh, you're looking there, see that? India and Norse mythology, etc. And I back it up with that video that I just showed. And if you just click on one of these, it takes, it's massive. It is massive, guys. Look, I can't even zoom out that far. And every time you click on one, it just takes you to different people. Because so the white ones are Homo sapiens and the coloured ones, male and female, are Anunnaki. Go see it now. Breaking news, scientists have found out how they built the pyramids, and it wasn't aliens, it says here. However, you carry on reading, basically they're saying that because of these pictures, they decided to try and put water in front of something that could move the blocks, and it was a little bit easier. That doesn't actually tell you how they stacked all the blocks, because obviously that's a different kettle of fish. And obviously they doesn't also equate for the Bosnia pyramid, which you can even have tours in. So that is absolutely massive, bigger than the Giza pyramid. And of course then you've got the Chinese pyramid, and then you've got buildings like Angkor Wat, where the stones come from 75 miles away over lakes, rivers and hills, etc. So it doesn't explain any of that. Which means it was aliens, yes. Follow me, watch my videos. I explain it all with evidence, as always. And it's to do with quartz on this one. It's to do with levitation. Go watch my videos. Makes it easier for you.
When you know, have you seen videos like this? Well, I just made this using AI, so it's fake. But if you want actual evidence that there is no dome, the Earth is not flat, and that all the videos you see of people telling you it is are wrong because they have mixed up what was said, then simply click on this profile picture and watch the pinned video called Flat Earth, Evidence Says Otherwise. I won't lie to you.
Noah's Ark, the actual text that's in the British Museum. It's very hard to actually find. I've now put it on my Patreon page. Don't worry, it's free of charge on the Patreon page. Just go to collections and then info, or just scroll down from the top and you'll see it there. And that's the actual original texts. Now, I've actually read them out as well, free of charge, on my Patreon page, on a video entitled Noah's Ark Actual Text. And so I go through the text and explain certain things. So, for example, a lot of silly people think that that is actually Noah's name, when it's not, and I explain exactly why it's not. So you can just go to my Patreon page. It's an 8-minute video, and just click on this, and you can should be able to start watching it. You don't have to pay or anything on this. So yeah, enjoy. You'll find out that it's not an almighty being, and you'll find out that actually Enki helped build the boat. Does anyone remember this person? This was the one that said that white people don't believe that black people could have made the pyramids, and white people are suppressed and blah blah blah. And she also said we know exactly how the pyramids were built. And of course I sent her an email saying, could you tell me how the pyramids were built, because there's nowhere on this planet that actually says how they were built. So of course she didn't reply, but I emailed her like I showed on my video. Anyway, I actually received an email from Digital Hammurabi, I probably pronounced that wrong, which was actually her. And it's basically saying that I subscribed to her newsletter and that she's going to be talking to an expert on a live chat. So I just thought it was quite interesting, the fact that I've been added to their mailing list by emailing her, and yet I'm the one that debunked her. Interesting.
Hands up who thinks Noah was the son of Lamech, because you read it in Genesis 5:28, 29, NIV. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah. However, the direct translation of the Hebrew says this, and Lamech liveth 182 years, and begetteth a son, and calleth his name Noah. Interestingly, the tablets that the Bible copied from and predate the Bible say different. Here in the Moorhen collection in Columbia University is what it really says about Noah father.
Lou Mark was Edin's master. He was responsible for implementing rations and reducing the quantity of food offered to earthlings. His bride was Botanash, the daughter of the brother of Lou father. Mark's Enki was mesmerized by her extraordinary beauty. Enki delivered a letter to his son Marduk that said, Lou Mark, summon number 203 to your kingdom. Teach humans how to construct a city there. Botanash was taken to Ninmar's home in Shurubak, the haven city, after Lumarch was called to Marduk's kingdom. They were sheltered and shielded from the hostile crowds of Earthlings. After that, Enki's sister Ninmah promptly paid him a visit to Shurubak. Bartanash was bathing on the top of a building when Enki grabbed her loins, kissed her, and emptied his into her womb. Bartanash's stomach was bloated since she was pregnant. "Return to the Edin because you have a son," Shurubak said to Lumarch. Bartanash, Edin, and Shurubak's son appeared to Lumarch after his return to Edin and Shurubak. His complexion was as white as snow, and his hair was the color of wool. His eyes were as brilliant as the sky and shone with radiance. Lumarch was shocked and afraid and rushed to his father Matushal.
If you want to learn more about the Anunnaki and how the Bible is a copy from these older texts, visit my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, or follow me on TikTok or YouTube, Our True History.
I find this interesting. So this is a guy talking from the University of Chicago about the Ube period, which is basically a period before the Sumerians where they used bartering. Have a listen to this.
The largest house in the settlement remained the largest house in the settlement, and that smallest, poorest house remained the poorest house. So what that's telling us then is that not only had society differentiated into richer and poorer members.
So he's assuming that the bigger house wasn't owned by someone of royalty or one of the higher up Anunnaki, and the smaller houses possibly the Ijiji, for example, the younger Anunnaki. So obviously there was no money at that point. Money came along 3,000 years later. So if you're bartering, it's a lot easier to become equal with each other than it is having money. So I struggle with this.
For the first time in modern history, you can now find out whether or not the Sumerian gods, the Anunnaki, were the same gods as the Norse gods, and if so, which ones were they? Who was Odin? Was Odin Enki? Oh, you'll find out. I'm not going to tell you, and it's on my Patreon page. So this is part 2. Part 1 is actually on there already, which is about the creation, who the frost giant was. And if you want to know with evidence, everything's with evidence, all you have to do is go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/OurTrueHistory, click on the collections tab, and then you'll see the Norse documentaries there. I have over 100 and something odd other documentaries and all sorts of things. And if you're unsure whether or not you think you want to actually pay a couple of pounds to watch over 100 odd documentaries that you'll never see anywhere else, not with my style of research, all you have to do is go here. It's free. You don't have to click on it. Just click on it and then watch the first video and you'll see.
There is a creator of everything, according to the Anunnaki. In the tablets in the Columbia University, it says that the Anunnaki say that there's a creator of everything. Now, could they be mistaken? I mean, let's just have a look. We have religions now, and we have people saying that there is one true God. However, we've got actual evidence here in this particular video on YouTube that there is no God that's in the Bible. It's referring to the Anunnaki. So if you want to go and watch that, it's called Proof Anunnaki. We're here on Our True History's channel. Now, of course, there's over 4,000 religions right now. So could the Anunnaki have been mistaken? Could they, just like the 4,000 different religions right now, believe that there was a creator of everything simply because they're alive? Just like people do now with God, etc., when we actually know that the God was Anunnaki. So that we've made a mistake knowing, now, could the Anunnaki have made as above, so below? People don't seem to understand, but it's to do with space, and there's below. So this is my family tree of the planets, and this is actually based off of ancient texts. As you know, I don't lie. And so I've got all the names here of different places. However, what you probably don't know is that the above and below also had the chambers of fate, and you're probably wondering what that is. Well, you wait no more, because I have actually put that family tree and a video accompanying that family tree on my Patreon page, which is now out, and it's called Planet's Family Tree, and that one's the video version of it. So you can see me explaining everything that you need to know about all of the planets and why Pluto wasn't here and Mercury, etc. It's pretty impressive, as always, with my videos. And there's over 100 other documentaries on my Patreon page. So feel free to go there and enjoy these amazing documentaries. Breaking news. Scientists unearth lost metal of Atlantis off the coast of Sicily. However, if you go to read on, it says that there was some gold found in a ship that sank 2,600 years ago. And because Plato mentioned that Atlantis had a particular type of gold, therefore it's Atlantis gold. However, this is just basically clickbait because they admit that they don't really know what they're talking about. However, if you watch my pinned video on my TikTok account, you'll see that I know exactly where it was and I give all the reasons why. Now, also, in the same place that I say where Atlantis is, they've also got gold as well. However, mainstream say that the place that I say had sunk was Atlantis. That it's called Heraclean, by the way, or now it's called that. It's believed that rising water, a series of earthquakes, and a tidal wave contributed to sinking of Heraclean. Basically, they don't know. So,
did you know that we now know where Atlantis was and who was there? With evidence? We also now know who the real father of Jesus was, with evidence. An amazing researcher has worked out who Yahweh was. The researcher shows the evidence to all of these. He's shown that mermaids were real, but they were not half human. He's even worked out why Stonehenge is where it is now. It's to do with what happened before. Using his vast knowledge and great research, Göbekli Tepe has been solved. What he didn't know until researching was Adam and Eve were on a spaceship for the first 24 years of their life. And we can't forget his outstanding documentary on the crystal skulls that show we were lied to by museums. Do you want to see all this evidence? Simply visit his Patreon site for over 100 long documentaries. You know who this researcher is? Our true history.
Mainstream's got it wrong again. Humans have been speaking for a lot longer than originally thought. And so originally they thought that humans started around 200,000 years ago, but now they're saying it could be as old as 1.6 million years ago. Basically what they're saying is, don't trust us, we keep getting dates wrong. Our true history, the person that's talking, is actually way better because he knows more about this stuff than mainstream does. And in fact, they're right. So here is a tablet, and it's cool. This is an ancient tablet, predates the Bible. Now, this is about Adapa. Adapa was the son of Enki. In other words, a Anunnaki and human offspring. So demigod, if you will. And he was the first, what we call Homo sapiens sapiens, which was the modern human that possessed speaking abilities. So we know this was around 100,000 years ago. So he possessed intelligence, etc. So that's where you get your information from.
Hands up who thinks Noah was the son of Lamech? Because you read it in Genesis 5:28, 29, NIV. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah. However, the direct translation of the Hebrew says this, and Lamech liveth 182 years, and begetteth a son, and calleth his name Noah. Interestingly, the tablets that the Bible copied from and predate the Bible say different. Here in the Moorhen collection in Columbia University is what it really says about Noah father.
Lu Mark was Edin's master. He was responsible for implementing rations and reducing the quantity of food offered to earthlings. His bride was Botanash, the daughter of the brother of Lu father. Mark's Enki was mesmerized by her extraordinary beauty. Enki delivered a letter to his son Marduk that said, Lu Mark, summon number 203 to your kingdom. Teach humans how to construct a city there. Botanash was taken to Ninmar's home in Shurubak, the haven city, after Lu Mark was called to Marduk's kingdom. They were sheltered and shielded from the hostile crowds of earthlings. After that, Enki's sister Ninmar promptly paid him a visit to Shurubak. Botanash was bathing on the top of a building when Enki grabbed her loins, kissed her, and emptied his into her womb. Botanash's stomach was bloated since she was pregnant. Return to the Edin because you have a son, Shurubak said to Lu Mark. Botanash, Edin, and Shurubak's son appeared to Lu Mark after his return to Edin and Shurubak. His complexion was as white as snow, and his hair was the color of wool. His eyes were as brilliant as the sky and shone with radiance. Lu Mark was shocked and afraid and rushed to his father Matushal.
If you want to learn more about the Anunnaki and how the Bible is a copy from these older texts, visit my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, or follow me on TikTok or YouTube, Our True History.
I'm fed up with people saying that because there's life on Earth, God must have created it. Because, let's just ask you a simple question, whether you're religious or not. Simple question. You can do anything you want. You're God, okay? Would you allow animals to eat, like this snake is eating a person because it needs meat? This lion's killing this. So in other words, every second of every day, some animal is getting killed by another because of food. So I don't know about you, but I would have, as a god, made sure that all the animals would have ate fruit and vegetables. And I would have made those fruit and vegetables like meat, so that no animal would have to go through torture and everything else. What about you? Do you think that's a smart god? Or do you see where I'm going with this? Or is it just evolution?
My previous video made bold claims that stated mysteries have been solved. I invite you to watch free of charge, the one where I show you the Bible copied the Anunnaki, aliens texts. Simply visit patreon.com/ourtruehistory and you'll see the video there for you to watch.
Our father who art in space. Here he is, Enki, who created us little humans because the Anunnaki were 8 to 12 foot tall. Now, in this ancient carving, down the bottom here, we look like we have minotaurs. Now, these were the Greek half man, half bull creatures, and yet this carving predates the Greeks. Now, also in the Morgan Library, they have cylinder seals, which also have minotaurs, centaurs, griffins, hydras, cyclops, etc. And these all predate the Greeks. And now the Greek stories, if you've watched my videos, are actually based off of the Anunnaki stories, same as the Bible is. And guess who, out of all the people, would have been able to do the genetic modifications to create these creatures? I'll give you one clue. He's sitting on there, and he's our father. Yes, it was Enki. That's why the Sumerians have him before the Greeks.
Did you know that we now know where Atlantis was and who was there? With evidence? We also now know who the real father of Jesus was, with evidence. An amazing researcher has worked out who Yahweh was. The researcher shows the evidence to all of these. He's shown that mermaids were real, but they were not half human. He's even worked out why Stonehenge is where it is now. It's to do with what happened before. Using his vast knowledge and great research, Göbekli Tepe has been solved. What he didn't know until researching was Adam and Eve were on a spaceship for the first 24 years of their life. And we can't forget his outstanding documentary on the crystal skulls that show we were lied to by museums. Do you want to see all this evidence? Simply visit his Patreon site for over 100 long documentaries. You know who this researcher is? Our True History.
Mars has an effect on Earth, according to a new study with its gravity. But this study basically goes on to waffle on about climate change and stuff like that. However, what's more interesting is between Jupiter and Mars, a planet called Nibiru comes around every 3,600 years. And in the tablets in the Columbia University, where the Anunnaki, which are the race that's on Nibiru, the race we call gods, or they call themselves gods, actually tells us that when it came round at one of its perigees about 10,000 BC, yes, it caused a great flood. So Planet X is obviously a lot bigger than Earth, and it caused an ice shelf to break off of Antarctica and slide into the ocean, which caused the deluge, as written in many of these ancient tablets. So all you have to do is watch my videos and I point to where the evidence is. So if Mars has got an effect on Earth, you can imagine Planet X Nibiru does as well.
We know Adam and Eve was on a spaceship for the first 24 years of their life. We have evidence, I mentioned this in a previous video, along with other amazing mysteries that have been solved. I offered the evidence. And do you know what? People are really stupid. There was about 1,000 people that wrote things like BS or rubbish or stitching the video and laughing. Of course I blocked all of them, but only 2 asked to see the evidence. I sent them links. They never came back. If someone made claims like that, I'd ask for the evidence. This shows me that people don't want to know, and in their heart they are scared of the evidence. If you want to see more about this, go to YouTube and search for our True History channel and look for the video called Proof Anunnaki were here. Proof they were gods. Our true history. Aliens. Nibiru. Space heaven. Then come back with evidence to prove my evidence wrong. If you can't, next time don't comment until you have all the facts.
Breaking news. Mainstream says a new discovery, Easter Island, could rewrite the history as we know it. However, I've already been there, done that. In fact, I've got the video to prove it. It's on my Patreon page. If you're actually interested in finding out what Mainstream are eventually going to find out themselves, there's a 15-minute documentary, and it's about who and when the statues were put there, which basically covers what they're trying to say here. But I did it before because I worked it out with evidence as always. So if you're interested, go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/OurTrueHistory, and click on the collections tab and just scroll down to the one that says all other videos, because basically there's over 150 odd long documentaries, and the one you're after would be in here if you actually want to find out anything about well, this has got loads of other things in there, so you'll have to scroll down until you find the, there we are, I know that's Stonehenge. If you want to find out about Stonehenge...
Stonehenge mystery has been solved. Yes, I am the guy that's done who Jesus' father is. I'm the guy that's done who Yahweh was. I'm the guy that proved that Adam and Eve was on a spaceship for 24 years at the beginning of their life, etc., with evidence. And now I have done it again. I have concluded why Stonehenge is exactly where it is and not somewhere else, and why the stones are larger as opposed to the smaller, because there is smaller henges. So it's actually to do with a lot bigger than you think. So I don't want to spoil it for you. It's a 34-minute documentary. It's called Stonehenge More Than Meets the Eye. You can get this or watch this on my Patreon page, along with so many other documentaries, long videos, documentaries, and audio books, etc. that's on my, and information and everything else. So basically, yeah, go to my Patreon page and you'll find all the amazing documentaries with evidence as always. Thank you.